Welcome to Back Porch Pilgrimage, Episode 7. Thank you for joining me on the journey. I never actually met him, but I saw him multiple times a day, almost every day I was on the Camino. And if I walked 500 miles, he probably walked at least a couple hundred more. I called him Red Shorts Guy, or RSG for short. RSG didn't carry a backpack. His footwear was a pair of snappy Adidas cross trainers instead of the ubiquitous trail shoes and hiking boots. He carried 2 phones and a GoPro cam along with his 1 water bottle. I would often pass him, sitting on a convenient rock or nonchalantly leaned up against a building in a village. But before long, from out of nowhere it seemed, RSG would zip past me, and not long after that, I'd lose sight of him altogether. While I was a moderately slow walker, about 2.5 miles an hour, I'm guessing RSG motored along at 4 miles an hour or more. It wasn't until the end of the 4th day, though, that my friend Jim and I finally figured out what was going on with RSG. We were staying at a newer and fairly large family-run albergue. And since that albergue was outside of town, Jim and I had decided to take advantage of the pilgrim dinner that was offered on site. We had just settled in at our table when we saw RSG with a group of about 30 people. And we watched as he translated and explained the menu for his group, mostly a group of older people. He then took their dinner orders, answered their questions, and then he translated all of their orders and special requests back to the server. So RSG was a travel guide, but not really a guide so much as a shepherd. RSG was a veteran of shepherding groups of people from his home country across the north of Spain. Another pilgrim told us that he arranged for lodging, so his flock of folks didn't have to worry about where they would sleep. If there were pilgrims who needed their backpacks transported to the next destination, well, RSG made it happen. Turns out, this is why he never carried a backpack, because his luggage was always transported ahead. At the beginning of a day's walk, he would gather the group, give them helpful hints about places to stop for coffee, or warn them about difficult sections of the trail. Then he would set out, leading the way for a bit. At some point, he would turn back, retrace his steps until he found the last person in the group. Or maybe he would wait for the folks to come by. And then, when he was sure that they were all ahead of him, he would double back to the front, checking in with group members as he passed them. And he'd repeat this procedure of waiting for slowpokes whilst keeping the group moving in the right direction and also preventing the faster walkers from making a wrong turn. He would do this all day long. Those red shorts were a visual cue to the members of the group that RSG was on the job and they were in good hands. Over the past year, I've thought a good deal about RSG as a pastoral role model, guiding a group without controlling it, offering directions and assistance without invading the experience of the pilgrims in his care, being attentive to those at the end of the line as well as to the ones at the front of the line and to everyone in between, handling the details so his pilgrims' minds could focus on other things, being simultaneously highly visible and highly unobtrusive. From my observations along the way, RSG set a standard for pastoral care I haven't even begun to match in my years of parish ministry, but I still have hope. Yesterday was the fourth Sunday of Easter, and that's the Sunday known in our tradition as Good Shepherd Sunday. All of the readings and much of the hymnody uses the image of Jesus as the Good Shepherd of the flock. To be honest, for most city folks, this metaphor evokes more sentimentality than seriousness. We happily recite the words of the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want," with little regard for the sacrifices biblical shepherds made on behalf of their flock and the theological implications of the metaphor. Rather than care for the flock of humanity from a distance, the Good Shepherd Jesus gets in close enough to know each sheep's personality, and close enough so each sheep becomes familiar with the sound of the shepherd's voice. So closely connected is the sheep with the shepherd, and vice versa, that even a walk through the darkest and dangerous places is possible because of the bond of trust they have established with each other. One of the tenets of our faith as Christians is that even in isolation, we are never alone. To be sure, we don't know how our lives will unfold over the next number of months as we traverse the dark valley of this pandemic. We don't know what lies ahead, but as people who name Jesus as our Good Shepherd, we trust He is with us through it all. One of my favorite Good Shepherd Sunday hymns paraphrases the psalmist's assurance like this: "In death's dark vale, I fear no ill, with Thee, dear Lord, beside me. Thy rod and staff my comfort still, Thy cross before to guide me." For a pilgrim pastor like me, beset with my own insecurities and anxieties, it's always helpful to remember my place in the world. My job is to serve to the best of my ability, and also to remember that most of my work is lots of back and forth, covering the same ground day in and day out. Sometimes I'm at the back of the line, and sometimes I'm at the front. Sometimes I'm checking in with people who can manage just fine on their own. Other times I'm talking with people who've lost hope they can make it at all. In the end, I'm not the Good Shepherd. I simply do my best to point to Him. In reality, though, I'm probably more like RSG, but with a black shirt and white collar instead of red shorts. And while I'm not going to start wearing red shorts anytime soon, I am seriously thinking about a pair of those snappy Adidas cross trainers. Be well, keep the faith, keep walking.